When I found the HOA security car blocking my driveway over fake violation claims, I never imagined I would uncover the secret that could bring down their entire corrupt empire. What would you do if you suddenly had the legal power to dissolve the very HOA that had been making your life miserable? Comment below where you're watching from, because this is how it all started. That morning, I was already running late for a major presentation downtown, the kind of meeting that could decide whether or not I got the promotion I'd been working toward for years. With 20 minutes left before I had to be there, I stepped outside in my best suit, only to see a white security car with Oak Ridge Estates HOA plastered across the side parked directly across my driveway. My blood pressure spiked immediately. It wasn't the first time, but this morning was different. Sitting inside the car, scrolling on her phone, was Rebecca Collins, the newest addition to our HOA board. She had only been in the position for 3 months, yet somehow she'd managed to make life miserable for nearly everyone in the neighborhood. I walked up to her window, trying to stay composed despite the urgency boiling inside me. I knocked. She jumped slightly, feigning surprise. "Is there a problem?" she asked with a fake smile that made my skin crawl. "Yes, there's a problem," I replied firmly. "You're blocking my driveway and I need to get to work." Rebecca didn't move. Instead, she flipped through a stack of papers on her clipboard as if she'd been waiting for this moment. "According to our records, you have 3 violations that need immediate attention. Your holiday decorations weren't removed by the January 15th deadline. Your garbage bins were visible from the street last Tuesday. And," she paused dramatically, "your grass is 2 inches above the regulation height." I stared at her, disbelief written all over my face. "Rebecca, I don't even have decorations up. Those are Emma's lights next door. My bins are in the garage and I just mowed 3 days ago." "Well," she said smoothly, "someone filed complaints, and as HOA security, I need to investigate. You can dispute these violations at the board meeting next Wednesday at 7:00 p.m. My phone buzzed. It was a text from my boss. "Where are you? Don't be late." "Rebecca, please. I have an important meeting. You can't just block my driveway like this." She smirked, glancing back at her phone. "Actually, according to HOA bylaw section 7.3, security has full authority to restrict access during violation investigations." That's when I noticed the so-called security car. It wasn't official at all, just her personal sedan with a magnetic sign slapped on the door. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "So you're officially here as HOA security?" I asked, making sure her car was in the frame. "Of course," she replied quickly, sitting up straighter. "The board appointed me head of security last week." "Interesting," I said, still recording. "Do you have proper licensing and insurance for that?" Her smile faltered for the first time. "That's confidential HOA information." I pressed my tone steady. "Really? Because impersonating security personnel is illegal in this state." Her face twitched. I knew I'd struck a nerve. "Are you threatening me?" Her voice pitched higher. "My husband is good friends with Captain Harris at the police department." I checked my watch. 15 minutes left. "Move your car now, or I'll call the actual police to report you for false imprisonment. That's what it's called when you trap someone on their own property." She sputtered, then finally slammed her car into drive. "This isn't over," she hissed. "The board will hear about your aggressive behavior." As I backed out of my driveway, I caught sight of her furiously typing on her phone. Something about this situation didn't sit right. How had she gained so much power so quickly? Why was she targeting specific neighbors? Most importantly, what would I find if I dug into our HOA records? I made it to my presentation with 2 minutes to spare, but my mind wasn't in the room. That evening, curiosity pushed me to research exactly what powers our HOA actually had. I logged onto the county records website, thunder rumbling outside as if to mirror my racing thoughts. What I found left me shaking. Our HOA's incorporation had expired 5 years ago. The previous board had forgotten to renew it, which meant every fine, every rule, every threat since then was technically illegal. I wanted to call my neighbors right away but stopped myself. If Rebecca or her allies found out, they'd destroy the evidence. I needed to be careful. Just then, another violation notice popped up on my phone. This time, Rebecca claimed my recycling bin was visible 3 minutes past the allowed time, with a $150 fine attached. My anger simmered, but underneath it was a new, dangerous calm, because now I knew the truth. The doorbell rang. Through my security camera, I saw Michael Turner, my elderly neighbor in a wheelchair, drenched from the rain. I rushed to let him in. "I'm sorry to bother you so late," he said, dripping water on my floor, "but I didn't know where else to turn." He handed me a stack of papers with trembling hands. "They fined me $500 for my grass being too tall. I've been in the hospital recovering from surgery. My lawn service couldn't get in because Rebecca kept blocking my driveway." I felt a surge of fury. Michael had lived here for 30 years, long before the HOA even existed. Now he was being harassed while recovering from surgery. "Michael," I said carefully, "what if I told you I found something that could stop all this?" I showed him the county records on my laptop. His eyes widened in shock. But that wasn't all. While helping him review property lines, we uncovered another bombshell. The original HOA boundaries filed in 1996 didn't even include his property or 5 other homes on our street. Rebecca had been enforcing rules on families who weren't even part of the association. The next morning, I drove straight to the county records office. The clerk, an older woman named Margaret, took one look at the stack of files I requested and raised an eyebrow. "These boundaries are wrong," she said, adjusting her glasses. "See this notary stamp? It's not even a real number." She dug deeper and found mismatched signatures, conflicting dates and permits that had never been properly filed. The deeper we looked, the uglier it got. My phone buzzed again. "Rebecca." I ignored it. Instead, I asked Margaret for certified copies of everything. She handed them over with a warning: "Be careful, dear. HOAs do crazy things when their power's threatened. Document everything. Don't let them know what you know until you're ready." Driving home, I noticed Rebecca's security car tailing me. Instead of going to my house, I drove straight to the police station. As I suspected, the car turned around before I parked. At the station, I filed a harassment report and showed the officers videos from my cameras. Rebecca blocking my driveway, taking pictures of my house late at night. One officer frowned. "These so-called security guards, do they even have proper licensing? I don't see any company by that name registered with the state." Another puzzle piece clicked into place. That night, I created a secure folder on my computer. I started collecting everything: property maps, notices, photos, financial records, anything that tied the HOA to corruption. This wasn't just about expired paperwork anymore. It was about exposing a board drunk on power. One by one, my neighbors started coming forward with their own stories. Melissa, from across the street, sobbed as she told me Rebecca had forced her to remove the garden she planted for her late husband. Mrs. Daniels, an elderly woman, was fined repeatedly after her son installed a wheelchair ramp for her. Ethan, a high school art teacher, had to repaint his house because his shade of white wasn't the approved frost. We met secretly in my garage. 20 neighbors gathered, each with violation letters, photos, and fines. Their voices shook with anger and fear, but together we had something stronger: evidence. Rebecca's harassment escalated. Her patrol cars drove by our homes at night, spotlights sweeping across yards. She accused me of hosting suspicious gatherings because of cars in my driveway. But I smiled through it all because I knew what she didn't: that the HOA had no legal authority anymore. Piece by piece, the case built itself. Financial records showed thousands siphoned into personal accounts. Emails revealed shady contracts with developers. With every discovery, our determination grew. When the emergency HOA meeting was finally called, I walked in with a thick folder under my arm. Rebecca sat at the front like a queen on her throne, perfectly styled, radiating control. But her composure cracked as I laid out document after document proving the HOA was invalid, the fines illegal, the money stolen. Her assistant, Laura, stood up, trembling, and produced a USB drive. "I can't stay silent anymore," she said. "Every fine, every fee, it went straight into Rebecca's accounts." The room erupted. Neighbors shouted, waving their notices in the air. Rebecca's mask crumbled. She threatened property values, brandished contracts with developers, and even tried to flee. But the police, alerted beforehand, arrived just in time. As officers escorted Rebecca out in handcuffs, the neighborhood erupted into stunned silence. She screamed threats until the very end, but her power was gone. In the days that followed, something beautiful happened. The orange violation stickers she'd plastered everywhere became a neighborhood joke. Families gathered to peel them off, laughing together. We started a real neighborhood association, not an HOA with rules and fines, but a group built on kindness and mutual support. Michael's lawn was mowed by volunteers while he healed. Melissa's garden bloomed again, untouched. Ethan repainted his house any color he wanted. Property values didn't fall, they rose. Other communities reached out for help, inspired by our fight. And Rebecca, the court forced her to repay every illegal fine with interest. The retirement community she'd bragged about moving into refused her application after seeing her face on the news. We framed one of her violation stickers in our new community center, a reminder of what we overcame. Sitting on my porch at sunset, watching kids play and neighbors chat, I realized we hadn't just defeated a corrupt HOA. We had built something stronger. A real community, where kindness beats control.